So obviously Earth is the planet. So the smallest neighborhood the Earth is in the solar system. Correct. So we're in the solar system. Our solar system is in the Milky Way galaxy. No. No. The pictures you've seen of the Milky Way are artist renderings. But the Milky Way is not fake. No, it's a real thing. The Milky Way galaxy is in what's called the Virgo supercluster. It's a group of galaxies that are close to each other.
Where's the Mario galaxy?
The Mario galaxy, that's a little further away.
So how far is Star Wars?
Very, very far away.
Okay.
Far away.
A long time ago.
Yeah. Virgo supercluster, and then lastly, we're in the universe.
What's the universe without the whole?
That's a good question.
The universe is in my stomach. I'm so hungry.
The amount of sense you make is...
All right. Number 2. What are the order of the planets of the sun from nearest to furthest, as well as where are the asteroid belts and the Kuiper belts? So you want to know the order of things. So I'm going to have you look that up here in just a second. And then what are some? And then we'll talk about some general observations about the solar system.
My very eager mother does so.
Okay. Go ahead and use the reading for A. Use the diagram to list the order of the planets and the order of the asteroid belts. So you'll need all 8 of the planets. You'll notice Pluto is missing on here because Pluto is not a planet anymore.
Why?
Pluto is not a planet because so the definition of planets is they have to be able to clear their own gravity field, and Pluto does not. So Pluto is in a very elliptical orbit, and Pluto actually enters inside of Neptune's orbit. And so because Pluto doesn't clear its own gravitational space, it's called a dwarf planet. Several other dwarf planets are found like in asteroid belts or in the Kuiper belt, so they don't clear their own area. Pluto is like right on the edge of the Kuiper belt.
So it's like it's just barely not a planet.
Yes, just barely not a planet. But they created a dwarf planet specifically for Pluto. Like there were enough people that were like, basically the problem was we found other dwarf planets like Pluto, and they're like, okay, do we make these other things planets, and now we have 13 planets, or do we change the definition of planet, and then if we do that, Pluto is like those things. It's not like planets.
Okay.
So we decided to change the definition of planet, and that made Pluto wasn't. There's an interesting book about it. The guy who pushed for Pluto to not be a planet is also one of the guys who like first discovered it, and his book is called "How I Killed Pluto and Why It Had It Coming." And it's pretty interesting.
That's fun.
Have you ever thought about how Pluto feels being called the word?
Midget planet?
Little planet guy.
Short planet?
All right, A. Go ahead and answer A for me.
Short king?
Yes, closest one is Mercury. Huh? That was just what they did originally, and we just kept it up.
Earth is actually a Roman god.
I was gonna say Earth is actually the name for Earth is actually Terra. Yeah,
Isn't Terra like
Terra, not Sarah.
God of Earth?
Yeah. Yes.
Mars is
That's
All right. So Mercury is first. Logan, what's next?
Venus.
Yep, Venus is next. All right, Sam, what's third?
Earth.
Yep. Does anyone know the name of our sun? Our sun has a name. Sol. Yeah. We're in the Sol system.
That's just Spanish.
Yeah.
Sol means sun in Spanish,
Yeah.
which means sun.
All right, what comes next?
The asteroid belt.
Nope, not yet.
Mars.
Mars comes next. Then we have the asteroid belt. All right, Gabe, what's after the asteroid belt? Yep. All right, Chase, what's next?
Uranus.
Nope.
Saturn. I read the wrong line. I read all the. That's embarrassing. Goofy. I was like, you really picked me to say that?
And then you were wrong. All right, Braden, what's after Saturn? Yes. Okay. Good. Caden, what's next? Yep.
Why is Neptune the only actual name of a god?
No, they're all names of gods.
Yes, dude.
It's Roman gods, though.
Oh, I know that, but like, are those actually all the names of the gods? Yeah, Neptune is
Poseidon's Neptune. Poseidon's
No,
Neptune.
they're all names of gods.
Neptune is like the Roman god of the ocean.
Isn't
Yeah.
Jupiter or Zeus? Too?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jupiter is like Zeus. Yeah. All right, and lastly, Ryan was last. Yeah, the Kuiper belt, or the outer edges of stuff. Yeah, Kuiper belt.
I played mine.
On Very Eat Your Mom just saw stuff noodles.
Yeah.
My mom. Your mom.
All right, so Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, asteroid belt, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Kuiper belt. That's the order of things. Pluto, if you want to know where Pluto is right here before the Kuiper belt, and the rest of the dwarf planets are in or past the Kuiper belt. There is one dwarf planet that's in the asteroid belt. So one of the dwarf planets in the asteroid belt. Planet X is like way out here. The Kuiper belt's pretty large, though. If you look at the diagram, you can see the Kuiper belt actually takes up a pretty substantial space, especially compared to the asteroid belt, which is really small in here. So there's a lot of things in the Kuiper belt. Yeah, Foga.
There was this thing that I heard that Uranus and Neptune usually switch positions.
No, so that's Pluto and Neptune. Pluto and Neptune switch positions. Yeah. So when I was a kid in elementary school and Pluto was still a planet, Pluto was actually closer to Neptune than Neptune was. So the order of the planets was different for me when I was growing up, and then it changed, and then I had to relearn it. And then Pluto wasn't a planet anymore, and it
So
didn't
does it
matter.
just keep, does it keep its same trajectory, or does it slowly leave the orbit?
No, so if this is the orbit of Neptune, Pluto's orbit is like this. It cuts it off.
Okay.
So sometimes it's closer and sometimes it's further out. Yes.
What's the dwarf planet in the asteroid belt called?
Ceres.
Ceres.
Yep.
What about the one that?
Yes, Ceres. It's Ceres dwarf planet. Yeah.
How often do Neptune and Pluto switch?
Not very often. I think like when Pluto switched when I was a kid, it had been that way for like 80 years or something. But the amount of years it takes to go around the sun is like 200 something. So it's a smallish chunk of the total amount it takes to go around.
Do we have any missions like planning to send someone to Mars yet?
They're planned, yes. They haven't done it. They're a ways away from that. The Artemis missions. So the Artemis missions, right now, the next one that's going to happen with Artemis is send people to the moon again. And once they've sent people to the moon, the goal is to establish a permanent base on the moon.
They never did it before.
Yeah. And then that's going to be a staging point to send people to Mars. Elon Musk wants to get to Mars sooner.
Do you think you will?
I don't know.
Elon can do anything.
I'm assuming Elon Musk is trying to get there to live on Mars when the world ends, but
Mr. B,
that's my guess. Yeah.
what's the main problem with being able to make a base on the actual moon? Like, what's the main problem that stops us?
From doing that, it's super expensive. And getting all the materials there and like creating an environment that allows you to actually, like, you have to work in a vacuum, so you have to maintain like your oxygen levels and all. So it's just complicated. All right. So let's look at some general information about the solar system. So
will they launch like in our lifetime to the moon or to the
I think they probably will.
to Mars?
Yeah, I would be a little surprised if they don't. All right, here's some basic information. Okay, basic information. So the age of the solar system is 4.6 billion years.
When did they start counting?
Pretty old.
What'd you say?
Where did they start counting?
Like, how did they figure that out? We can look at other star systems and get an idea about how long they take to form. We can look at asteroids and other things like that and figure out how old they are, because asteroids are probably the oldest thing in the solar system. And so we can look at those different materials and figure out how old they are and make an estimation as to how old the solar system should be. So 4.6 billion years. There are 8 planets as of now. There are 2 asteroid belts, the asteroid belt, and the Kuiper belt. There is 1 star. The reason I point that out is because many, like maybe more than half, star systems have more than 1 star. So having more than 1 star, like being Tatooine, is actually pretty common. There are 5 dwarf planets. And it is, so to give you a size of the solar system, because the Kuiper belt is essentially the edge of the solar system. The Oort cloud is out past that, and it's kind of we'll talk about that when the projects come up. But it's 1/1000th of a light year to the Kuiper belt. We sent a mission to the Kuiper belt out past Pluto, and I forget how many years it took to get there, like 18, 20 or something like that. It's a really long way. It's a really long way out there. Okay.